Alright, so this is Atwar. This is the map that you guys are going to be dropping into. For the sake of this tutorial, mainly because I'm sending this to Alec, might send this to a king or two, we're going to choose the faction Alec will be playing, but basically right here you can see kind of all your different factions that you can choose. Before you do that, you want to go down to strategy. So these things, personally, I usually would recommend, depending on where you're playing, Imperialist or Perfect Defense. Perfect Defense kind of just more of a common ground one. Naval Commander can be helpful if you're on the sea, but you probably, neither one of you guys will need that too much. So I'm just going to go here with Perfect Defense, so make sure that's selected, and then you're going to choose your faction. Your teams probably already have predetermined destinations for you, but like Alec, we're going to go here. All right, so we're now locked in as the Aetolian League. Basically, like, these are your cities. These little star cities here are the capitals of the region. So if someone takes over that capital there, then you can't produce in the remaining circle cities that are in the region. Also, keep in mind that the city that you have that has a little flag over it, that's like your capital of your entire empire. If you lose that for 3 turns, if an enemy holds that for 3 turns, you are going to be dead. You're out of the game, and your team will be in a hurtful position. So try to defend that as best you can. We're going to go into just some basic building right now then. This, you see, I don't know if you can see it that well because my camera quality is probably kind of dookie, but if the building has like a little white hue around it, that means that it's available to be produce reinforcements. As you can also see when you click here, this little number here will give you those reinforcements. So for this sake, we're just going to build a fuck ton of hoplites. You can see in the bottom right corner as well, when you do that, you have a limited income, and the plus sign here is how much money you're making per turn or not making. If it's in the negative, that's a problem. You probably want to fix that. Ideally speaking, you want to spend as much money as you can per turn. People who just save up and have $10,000 in the bank, that's great, but doesn't actually really do anything for you unless you just become a funding service for your faction. Now we're going to get into like something that's kind of pretty important here. You want to be learning to wall. So basically, I don't know how well you can see this, but if I put this here and I put this here together, they form a little wall. And that wall, that right there in between the two, an enemy can't go through that. Like, they have to spend a turn breaking through that, essentially. So it's a good like little barrier device, and they're like the most important part of this game. Your standard walling formation will put like one guy here, one guy here, and one guy here. And what that's going to do basically is form like a little mini triangle around your city. When you have these around your cities, you can't be attacked from any angle. Now, if you're having trouble with this, some people turn it into squares. It sucks because it does use up an additional unit, but if you just can't really connect your triangles like this, then I guess that's a nice alternative. You just want to make sure at all times, unless you completely are unable to, that all of your cities are walled. So throughout the turn, like, you would go and you would do those triangles on everything else as well. We'll put that there. Okay. Now, okay, I got a minute left in this turn because I'm an idiot and put it on a quick play. You're going to have 48 hours per turn to take your turns. Next thing we're going to probably look at is units. So in this map, you have the hoplite, your main defensive unit. It's pretty solid, and for 80 bucks on 8 defense, you can't really go wrong. Perfect defense, if you're playing perfect defense, this is going to be the unit that you want the most. Spearman is your main attack unit. It's a little bit cheaper than the cavalry, but also with a lot less range, so it's kind of up to you what you want to do there. Cav can have benefits, but you probably don't want to send them in completely alone because they're 8 and 3 on attack and defense. The only other thing you really would want to look at would be hit points, but that's not very important for this map, so we're kind of going to skip past that. You probably won't be able to build these guys, the militia units. That's fine. You don't need to build them. Only use these guys for walls. Don't use them to attack. Don't use them for anything else. They're useless in that regard. We're going to press end turn and show you the transition phase. So you're going to start your turn. Normally, there'll be combat up on this side of the screen that shows you what battles have happened in the turn. But when you start, each of you are going to get a starter army in this scenario. Alec, as you see here, you're just going to get 40 hoplites. Oh, sorry. 30 hoplites and some cavalry, which is dope. Basically speaking, like, your goal is going to be to conquer the people around you. So how you want to do that, and also make sure that they're not on your team, is, let's take 10 cavalry here, and we see that this place right here, the Locris Ozolis, has 5 militia defense in it with 10 and 15 stats. When you click on that attack with the cavalry, you see that you are attacking with 90 attack and 30 defense, but because you are the attacker, the attack stats all that really matters here. As well, something you want to keep in mind is sometimes, even though that would work in theory, you got to be careful. Some units can get lucky. There's a critical chance. So just bear that in mind. You're not always going to win that fight. This fight is a lock, though, because it's overwhelming force, it's overwhelming attack, it's better units, so you will be fine. And basically, you want to do that moving forward throughout. But I'm going to do something else here and show you kind of what I mean about the cities that I spoke about before, because not enough people get this very early on. Basically, let's say we attack from Argos, we go here, and we go here. And we're going to take just this city. And, maybe you're assuming that that's going to give you control of the region. But let's press end turn here. Okay, and here's the battle phases also. I recommend pressing play so you see kind of the independent unit actions and how your combat works, because that will make things way easier for you if you have a better understanding of that. But it's not necessary. You can just press here and just get the end results of all the combat. Now, okay, this is what I was saying, right? This here, this little city, we took it. We took the region. We can now produce troops in this star city because we control the regional capital, which is the star. But here, even though we hold Strauss, even though maybe we might have killed a big army of his, we can't produce units. We can just move units. And you will not be able to produce units here until you control here. All right? That's mostly what I needed to teach you guys. Other than that, the only thing that will be important in this game will be these 3 units right here. So they're naval units. Basically, the trireme is your naval attack unit. You can tell by the attack stat. The quadreme is your naval defense unit. You can tell by the defense stat. And your transport is how you're going to be able to move troops. And you can see here in the capacity tab that that's going to show you how many you can move through with a transport. So just for mine, it's 15, I think, because I bought some upgrades with SP over the years. You guys might have it at 10. It's not a huge fundamental difference, but yeah, so you would say recruit that, right? And then let's do that, some hoplites. And let's move a garrison out as well. So we're going to do that, and we'll say we put 15 men in this city, right? So what you want to do then is just what I did there. Go to move units. Select the 15 men and click this icon here to put them on a boat, right? And now they're sailing. I would also recommend, however, do not send out transport ships alone. You definitely want to add like a little bit of protection, at least maybe 1 or 2 quadremes or a few triremes, that's up to you. But if you are in the middle of a war, say you're trying to take these islands, unless you can get there right away, which you can in this case, but say we got to get here and we just can't, we're a little bit out of reach. You want to have boat protection, otherwise your naval transport's going to get absolutely McFucked. So when you are able to land on the island, though, and this is a little fun part, you will tuck away in this bay, and you see that little icon of the sailor's anchor. That means that you are on land, you have made landfall, and then you can take your units off the boats like you are moving them from a city and move them again. And that's your little amphibious assault, which can be incredibly beneficial and is going to be absolutely huge in this game. So don't miss opportunities with that when you can. Other than that, I think that's the majority of what the game is going to be. This is a giant map. Just try to win your battles in your areas. And make sure you're on the team Snapchats, because that's usually where a lot of the battle strategy will go down. If I think of anything else, I'll probably make another minor video, but that seems to be the basics right now. Remember economy, remember the regional capital differences. Make a lot of walls. Walling is probably the most important part of this game. You want to have every single city walled. You want to have battle lines drawn depending on like if you're getting invaded from the north and you have the ability to just make a few straight walls along the line or just kind of wall in between your cities. That can be the difference. Like one turn can be the difference between life and death in this game. So basically the more walls, the better. All right. I think that's everything. So hopefully this helps you guys. If you have any questions, literally feel free to ask me whenever. I've been playing this game for way too fucking long, so I know a little bit. Also, forum posts help. I know, Kinger, you were looking into those because I think John said he sent you some. Alec, if you want some of those, I can send those to you as well. But yeah, all right. Good luck. We'll see you in the game tomorrow or the day after.